All right, our next guest is Alderman Eddie Diehl from the 15th District, who wants to talk something about change orders. Now, basically, here's what happens. The city puts out what's called an RFP. That's a request for proposal. And they get responsible bidders to put in prices for particular contracts, which we are going to call a contract. And that's the amount it's going to cost to get this job done. It all gets signed and sealed. And once the contract is just about finished, almost on a regular basis, we find out, well, the contractor needs more money. And often it's quite a bit, and this gets approved by the council and then passed on to the taxpayers, and we end up paying more money for that contract than was originally bid. And Alderman Diehl is concerned about that, and he wants to do something about it. And I guess my first question to you, Eddie, is, are these actual change orders? Is this a situation where the city actually came in and said, well, we want to do something different in this contract than was originally proposed? Or are these just errors in judgment by the contractor who made a mistake in bidding the contract and so now needs more money to cover his expenses?
By the way, thanks for having me on your show, George. I think more often than not, from what I've seen in my short experience, is that it's extra work that the contractor realizes must be done to complete the project. Whether it's sidewalk repair, you realize that there were actually more squares that had to be replaced. You knock a wall down and you find out that there's actually an inner wall that you have to be more careful, or whatever it is. These are things that they find along the way, and it kind of depends on the analysis that was done at the beginning, or just some forward thinking on the contractor's part that didn't take place.
Now let me just throw in my 2 cents worth here on this, because I've been a contractor before, never on that size, but certainly a contractor putting in floors or paneling or something like that. And I would run into that type of thing, where there was something there I did not anticipate. Okay, I didn't make as much money as I should have on that contract, but I learned to anticipate and look for certain things on future contracts to say, that's a problem. I could not make a change order because the customer didn't change his order.
That's right.
He just wanted the bathroom floor, and I left it at that. So what you just described there should have been covered in the contract. That was a contractor error, his problem, he covers the cost.
I think one of the terms that you brought up at the beginning was responsible bidder, and that's always a term that we use with the city with the bidding process. Responsible bidder means that the person, the firm, is an expert in
they know what they're doing,
in whatever this is. And as I mentioned this on your show previously, let's say you're doing a building demolition. You're an expert, you put in a bid. Short of discovering unexploded Civil War ordnance in the building when you're knocking it down, there isn't much that you haven't seen previously.
That's right.
And so my concept is, let's have contractors, as part of their bid, put in a 1-page or 2-page, whether you want to call it a risk analysis, we used to call it failure modes and effects analysis in the pharmaceutical industry, something that talks about all the additional things, just a forward-thinking, forward-looking document. What could happen here? What are additional things that we might find, that we might encounter, and a price associated with each thing, so that we can get a handle on, is this an accurate bid, or has a person maybe bid lower against someone else who has thought of these things but hasn't been incorporated into the verbiage of their bid response.
So the things that are covered in this addendum would be things that might be added on, is what you're saying.
Right.
So if they find Civil War ordinances in there,
right, exactly. Exactly.
It's legal to add that on.
There's a pipe in there that was flowing water for whatever reason, nobody knew about it, and all of a sudden you break the pipe and then you have to fix it. I mean, things like that nature. And again, if these contractors are experts, these are situations that they've encountered before that they can foresee possibly happening. Now,
so one contractor would know not to include those in his price as possible things. So what you're saying.
Or maybe they have included it. They've thought about some things that could go wrong, and they've built that kind of as a buffer into their bid.
Right.
But then someone else that doesn't have that in there can
The
bid
point
lower.
was the person was going to put it in bid can take it back out of his bid because he knows if he runs into that, he's covered.
Well, I wouldn't even say that to make it part of the bid. I would just have a kind of a separate page on the bid saying, here's what might happen, and here's what it would
And
what it would
those things,
cost.
if they do happen, would be additional costs.
Right.
Right,
And,
okay.
and I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues at the city to put together a document that works. Personally, I think the contractors are going to like this because they're actually going to be able to demonstrate their expertise, their knowledge. They're going to show the city that they are responsible bidders and experts. And we can actually go back to that and look and say, well, your risk analysis showed all these things, but this other bid doesn't show that. Hey, why hasn't your bid included these things? And come up with a better bidding process, and the taxpayers get better value. I think this is going to be good for everyone.
There you have it, folks. It sounds good to me. I want to thank you
Thank
much
you,
for
George.
coming on and expressing that, and let's look forward to that coming through from you as a is it going to be coming through as kind of a municipal ordinance? Is that what it will be, or just as a process?
I look forward to working with my colleagues at the city, the council, and other folks, and the engineers, and put together a document that will work and make sense.
Okay, very good. It's that time again, folks, when Racine's most prestigious homes go on public display. And our next guest is going to be Robin Coventry, President, Preservation Racine Incorporated, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on over there and what we can expect in that parade of homes. Stay tuned.